News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Top of the morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the News First studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And yes, it's another lovely day out there. It's not raining, it's lovely. And I'm sure the palms are swaying, the sun will soon be out, the beaches are untouched, and we live in a beautiful island. It's called Sri Lanka. It's got a little few troubles here and there. And to discuss some of those troubles this morning is a very vociferous critic of poor governance and so on, and non-delivery and inaction is Mr. Maithri Faraz. He's right here. Very good morning to you, Maithri.
Morning. I agree that it's a beautiful island, but unfortunately run by very bad politicians.
Very bad politicians. What can we do?
That is a million-dollar question. The people who vote these politicians will have to reconsider at the next election as to whom they are going to cast their vote on.
That next election is looming, isn't it?
It is very much.
Do you think it will help if we get all 225 of them into these buses that was imported for the Foreign Office? Do you remember those famous buses, luxury coaches? Push them all into that and take them up to Trinco, China Bay, and get them to wake up early morning so that they can see the beautiful sight of China Bay, and ask them if that isn't worth saving.
Definitely. Not only that, Faraz, so many other things they should be shown, especially the beauty of this country.
That's right.
Right, as you very correctly said, the beautiful beaches, the clean sea, the greenery of this country. I mean, this is a green island which we can promote to the greatest extent.
And that magnificent rock, the Sigiriya.
I will never be. I'll never stop being fascinated with that beautiful work of art.
Absolutely. And
I can climb it, almost every week, and still be interested and get more interested.
Well, I'm envious of you because you've got the physique that will allow you to climb up there. Unfortunately, I was told that I shouldn't. But look, when we went on Gammadda, the V-Force, out there 2-3 weeks ago, I couldn't help but notice the amount of tourists, foreigners who were there. Cameras clicking away, videotaping, and completely and utterly fascinated by this super work of art.
Oh yes, it's just fantastic.
Absolutely. Now, in between all that, and like you said, elections are looming. They're not far off now, are they? Presidential election. Provincials are
not being held.
And so on. And so I come to this question. What is the point of having these special inquiries, like the Bond Commission, for example, Sri Lankan Airlines and Mean Lanka Commission, which, as we've just heard, the term has been extended to the end of December this year, to give them more time. But, Maithri Faraz, is there any point? The reason I ask is this. The existing court battles that's going on with Kasan Palisena, Ajana Loftus and so on, that is a direct result of a complaint made by the central bank to the CID. It's actually nothing to do with what the Commission of Inquiry found out, right? And so therefore I'm asking you, is there any point? Nothing's happened.
No, Faraz. If this Bond Commission was not appointed by His Excellency the President, none of this would have been brought to light. Otherwise, the only commission report which would have been available was the commission report which was submitted to the Honorable Prime Minister by the 3 members of the UNP Lawyers Association, completely exonerating everyone and saying that there was no malpractice which has taken place. Now, with the Presidential Commission being appointed, there is clear indication that there has been an actual loss to the country, which has been submitted in the report, and that loss has been quantified, and the Commission unfortunately does not have the teeth to go ahead with a trial per se. And they have given directions that they should be prosecuted in the relevant courts.
Indeed.
Right? So now, having said that, the Attorney General having assisted the Commission, after the decision of the Commission or the Commission report, it is the bounden duty of the Attorney General to take it forward.
Right.
So if you are saying you are disappointed and nothing has transpired from these commissions, I beg to disagree, because whatever said and done, Commission was appointed and these allegations have been made. It is the Attorney General's department and the Attorney General who is the state main law officer of the state, and that is not the government. The state includes the people. Right? He has to take this forward and prosecute the necessary people in the relevant courts. So if he is not doing it, we cannot blame the commissions. We cannot blame the commissions, because whatever said and done, the commissions have brought in so much of light into the
point granted. But what I'm saying is there are a few issues, but what I'm asking is, no action's been taken.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No, but we have Saraj Jaimana, the director, the DG at the Bribery Commission, who says, he was on his show and he's been on the media, and he says that the existing laws don't permit him to use the evidence collected at the Commission of Inquiry unless there's an amendment to the laws. And now it's before Parliament, it's before Parliament, but no date has been set for a debate on that. And so he says he needs that law tweaking before he can go ahead.
Faraz,
what do you say?
No, Faraz, now the Commission has gone through all the evidence. People have come and given statements to the Commission. All he has to do is record their statements, and file cases.
Right.
So he doesn't need to have a law which says that evidence given in that commission is valid for the Bribery Commission.
Right.
Right now, we'll say if the CID wants to file an action, right, the CID will come and say, here, this is the statement. You have given this evidence before the Supreme Court, this commission. Right? What have you got to say? Do you agree to this? And question him on those, on that statement or the evidence given in even in the Bond Commission. And then thereafter, the CID or whoever the organization has a statement from that person. So that's on that statement, that is a sufficient statement for them to go prosecute or do anything they want.
Right.
So these are all excuses not to do the job. It's the easiest thing. Now I heard Mr. Saraj Jayaman has been saying, after sitting there for 2 years, he has said that he doesn't have enough people. I mean, then he should have never accepted the job.
Right.
I mean, if you are put into the place for us, people are not interested in excuses. People are interested only in results.
Indeed.
I mean, I'm sure you will be only interested in results. I mean, you don't want anyone to come here and bellyache and say that, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, so I couldn't do it. I mean, we are not interested in that. If you are given the job, you have to do the job. Otherwise, you must tell them, I cannot do it. There is no resources. I'm out. Right? Because this kind of thing this has to stop for us.
Right.
This has to stop. This has to stop.
Excuse making.
Excuse making has to stop. I mean, they're taking the people of this country as fools. Right? So, I mean, whether it is the Attorney General, whether it is Mr. Saraj Jayaman, the Bribery Commissioner, Director General, there is no excuses. They have to come up with the results.
Now then, I'm glad that there's an alternative view to this thing.
Definitely.
Because surely we are getting frustrated as we go along, because we want to see some action.
No, not only frustrated. Now what is happening is this whole the biggest robbery in this country is now going to be swept under the carpet, because now, as you know, the memory of the Sri Lankans is only 2 weeks at its best. Right? So if you keep on delaying this, it'll so many other incidents will overtake it, and this will just die down.
Now then, so many times here the bond report, and this is, I'm looking at well, I've got it copied, and it's in 3 parts, right? And in my version, which is the third part, the end part of it, it is one section here, page 919, which says here that in the event of a conviction being entered by a learned magistrate after summary trial, Perpetual Treasuries Limited could be held liable to a fine equivalent to twice the value of the aforesaid sum, which is the loss to the EPF, which is 8.5 billion rupees with a B, or 8,500 million, twice the value of that sum, or any other sum as the court may determine. So we're looking at a potential liability, a fine of double 8.5, which is a little bit over 17 billion with a B, 17 billion rupees. Now, I want to ask you this. 8.5 billion is the loss. And it says here that they are liable to a fine equivalent to twice that value. So does it mean the fine is 17 billion plus 8 billion?
No.
What does it mean?
It says... It says...
Here we go.
Perpetual treasuries could be held liable to a fine equivalent to twice the value. So the value is 8.5 billion.
Correct.
The value. The fine is double the value.
Right.
So that is 200% of the value, that is 17 billion, as you say. So it is 17 billion plus the 8.5 billion.
So we can look to a payment of 25 billion rupees to the consolidated fund.
And it's justified for us because this is people's money they have robbed. The ETF. The ETF is people who have worked their whole life, earned it and put it into the ETF in anticipation of them investing it and getting more money for their retirement.
Indeed.
They have taken it and squandered it and or stolen it.
Yes, and done all sorts of things with it. But now, in that case, my question to you is, you must have seen it in the media, it's been widely reported. Malik Samaravikrama said, Tamba Satayak Paduak Na to the state. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe also said that they had 12 billion as a central bank. So does that mean that Messrs. Ranil Wickremesinghe and Malik Samaravikrama have become the judge and the jury and are decided to write off the balance? Because now we just heard that the fine plus the amount of the loss amounts to around 25-26 billion rupees. So when they say, oh, but we've got 12 billion and that's the end of the matter, does that mean that they're just willy-nilly on their own, solo, say they're writing off the 14 billion? The fine alone is 17 billion.
For us, they would love to do it. They would love to write it off and sweep it under the carpet. But it is for the Attorney General to start the prosecution against perpetual treasuries for the purpose of recovering this money. And in my reckoning, it is an open and shut case.
Indeed.
It's an open and shut case. Because one thing is already a court, a commission has decided, and there is that evidence. So they don't have to go and be looking for documentation and all that. All the documentation is provided here. So basically for the Honorable Attorney General, it's an open and shut case. I feel within 6 months, they can conclude the matter also.
Right. Now then, this is why there is growing calls for what we call Bond 2. Commission of Inquiry into Bond 2. And I'll read that to you. Page 918 of the Bond report. It says here, under item 20, we, as in the commissioners, have also stated that, let's start, point number 20. As set out in chapter 19, we have determined that Perpetual Treasuries Limited obtained and used inside information, price-sensitive information, at the Treasury bond auction on the 29th of March 2016 and gained and benefited thereby. We have also stated that given the complexity of the task and the expertise needed, a forensic audit or similar process should be carried out to accurately estimate the quantum of the sum to which Perpetual Treasuries gained and benefited from the inside information at the Treasury bond auction on the 29th of March 2016. This is precisely why we need another commission.
Definitely.
Because there is more money out there.
And there is total money invested.
And there is total money invested. And what, you see, my rationale is this. You're a lawyer. I'm just...
You're like a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer, but I have this mind.
Yeah.
I make my mind up. Now then, with the evidence before me as a member of the public, it's this. They have Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the first bond. Let's call it the first bond, February 2015. This report very clearly lays the blame quite squarely on Arjuna Mahendran.
That's right.
Right. They say here that he acted mala fide to the benefit and the interest of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. So in my mind, that, and when Perpetual Treasuries then reports a profit in 3 accounting periods of an aggregate of approximately 12 billion rupees. 12 billion with a B, please note, 12 billion rupees. Now then, that's out of that first bond. Now they come to the second bond, and there's no investigation. My view is very simple. That first bond, by virtue of what the commissioners say, is tainted money. My view is that the second bond, the 29th of March and the 31st of March 2016, is proceeds of crime.
Definitely.
It has to be. That's the only way I'm viewing it.
It is. There is no case of viewing it. It is
that's
completely proceeds of crime.
So that's why we need. Do you think it's a good idea to have the President consider appointing another commission of inquiry?
No, I think for us the forensic audit is a must.
Yes.
Because then it will give the exact amounts.
Yeah.
Because still these are all ballpark figures which people have decided, which has been frauded.
Yes.
A forensic audit will show as to how these monies have been stolen, how they have made the profit, and they can quantify the actual loss of the state. Right? So that one thing is we have to do a forensic audit, and there is every reason to start the second bond commission, because that will reveal another loss. And I feel why that is not happening is, as it is, no one thought that the first bond commission is going to be so damaging.
Indeed.
And that has completely paralyzed and crippled the Yahapalnya government.
Indeed.
So, are they going to fall again into the same rut by appointing another commission to investigate the second fraud and then get in deeper into it with the election coming around the corner?
Indeed.
So that is a political question.
Yes.
Right? Because that's a political question now. If we'll say, assuming they appoint the bond commission this month, it will take at least 6 months for it to finish its sittings.
Indeed.
And when the report comes out, you are heading for a presidential and a provincial and maybe a parliamentary election in 2020.
Indeed.
Right? So this government is doomed.
Well, it's doomed. It was doomed because in that first scope, clearly the Prime Minister had it weighed in his favor. That's the way it worked out. You know, the governor of the central bank was still his mate, Arjuna Mahendran, and some of the commissioners, everything was on his side. And then came the second call, and it was a marked difference in the evidence that they heard from the officials of the central bank, because they didn't have the sword of Damocles hanging over their head. Right? So they were free to speak out, and then we had all these brilliant details of Mrs. Deepa Seniviratne's involvement and so on and so forth. But here, the main problem here is that there seems to be a clear-cut path, and Manik Samaravikrama and Ranil Wickremesinghe appear to be at the heart of it, to try and clean this all up by saying, well, look, they did that and that, but we've got the money, and it's 12 billion. But it's not. Here it says very clearly It says that very clearly. Now, unwittingly or so, Mahinda Rajapaksa might have had something to do with this. And you're probably wondering what on earth I'm going to ask you. But cast your mind back to another beautiful island where the palms sway and the beaches are lovely. It's called Seychelles. Do you remember what they did in the Seychelles? They opened a branch of the Bank of Ceylon and so on and so forth. Yeah. I'm told that very senior officials of this government, elected officials of this government, have made not one but 2 trips to the Seychelles. They're not state visits.
Okay.
Now I'm only wondering, I only wonder, okay? I'm wondering, Maithri, whether any of this bond money, our money, the people's money, ended up in the Seychelles. What do you think the possibilities are?
I think for us, these monies have been directed towards Singapore.
Right.
They are not going to put them into a bank which the Rajapaksas opened. Right. Because that will be like giving the hens to the fox to look after.
Right. Okay. Right.
So therefore, I think all of their dealings are with Singapore.
Yeah.
And fortunately or unfortunately, Singapore seems to be doing what Switzerland did long time ago.
Yeah.
Monies can come in, no questions asked. Only when you try to take it out, the problem arises.
But there's another serious problem looming.
Yeah.
Because elections are looming.
Yeah.
I think that there is a bona fide, how do you guys say it? In the lawyers?
Bona fide.
Yes. Or prima facie
case
requirement here that the presidential election should not be held until after the verdict of the bond issue. Because, unfortunately, or fortunately, it is possible. I mean, I personally don't want a rogue to be the head of my country. Yeah. I don't want that. Sorry, I don't want to.
No, but you cannot postpone the election just because a commission report is delayed.
But once this election is called, it is entirely possible that this whole bond issue will be swept under a very large carpet.
No, the point is this for us. Elections in a democratic setup has to be held at the correct time.
Yeah.
I don't think
But there's no time frame, Maithri. I understand what you're saying, but there's no time frame for the end of the bond issue.
No, correct. But the bond issue can go on. Bond issue can go on. No, the issue is this for us. The people of this country who are going to vote at the next presidential election or next parliamentary election will have to, when they are casting their vote, they'll have to be very mindful as to who has been responsible for all these actions and inactions.
But I want to say this to you.
Right? So, no, what I'm saying is for us, it is their duty to see and weed out these people and put some new people to run this country.
But do you see the potential damage in looming? I see it like this. Now, we had the Attorney General who overruled his subordinates, Dappole de Oliveira and Yasanta Kodagona, and decided to question the Prime Minister himself, cross-examine himself. And it is widely known that this was like kid glove treatment. All right. Now, let's look at the scenario. Now you say, well, we must let the Attorney General get on with it. But this Attorney General might well become the next another member of the Supreme Court. Right. So then we'll find. Let's say that what happens if Ranil Wickremesinghe becomes the head of the country? Is this man who treated the man with kid glove treatment, is he going to actually be part of some prosecution?
No, that is the very reason for us that the Aegis Department has gone into a freeze mode.
Yeah.
The Aegis Department, having got the Bond Commission report and having had vibrant officers prosecuting that or representing the Attorney General's Department and helping the Commission to come out with the truth. Now it has gone into cold storage.
Indeed.
So why it has gone into cold storage is because the Attorney General is supposed to retire when he's 60, that is in a few months' time.
Indeed.
Then there is another opening. in the Supreme Court you can stay till 65.
Yeah.
So all these, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Right? So he is now expecting that the Prime Minister will nominate or support his candidature to be the next Chief Justice, because the Chief Justice, Mr. Prasad Deb, Honorable Prasad Deb, is retiring by October.
Indeed.
So all these are all very well tailored and watched out plans which are made for them to remain in office. And who is paying for it? The people of this country are paying for it.
Indeed.
You all, as a channel, and especially you have taken this and prosecuted this diligently. As a journalist,
as a private company, we've spent our own resources
definitely.
On challenging those draconian laws proposed in the 19th Amendment, and it was we're not shy to say that it was because of us that those items were removed, because of our lobbying for
No, and the other thing is, for us, not only that, if you see the deaths or the shootings which are taking place in this country today,
indeed,
on a daily basis, I mean, you and I are absolutely at total risk.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I mean, if you see for what they are killing, and what you are trying to do, and what I have been coming and giving our views on this, right? We are major obstacles, major game and major obstacles for them to go ahead with this kind of malpractice.
Indeed.
And getting rid of people like you and us and people all who have spoken on this is no problem.
Indeed.
Because there is no governance in this country.
Indeed.
There is no governance in this country. So we have taken, especially your network, has taken a very independent stance and pursued this continuously, right? Without batting an eyelid, you all have not taken one step backwards.
Indeed.
And now, very correctly, you are asking what is happening to Bond 2. What is happening to Bond 2? Is the country going to forget it?
Indeed.
Is the people going to forget it? Because in fairness to all for us, people thought, okay, this is be all and end all of the bond.
Indeed.
that was the general perception.
Absolutely.
But only now it will slowly start dawning on the general public. There is another Bond 2, and the Bond 2 was they were able to do Bond 2 because of the illegal profits they made from Bond 1.
Well, I want to remind you that Bond 2, the requirement was 40 billion. They took 77 billion rupees. And out of that, there were two, 29th of March and 31st of March 2016. Perpetual treasuries took 34% of the first one and 31% of the second one. 34% of 40 billion is a lot of money, right? And the other thing, I just want to drive the point home here, that when perpetual treasuries bid so much, they were short of 36 billion rupees to settle the central bank. Right. And what did the central bank do? They lent them the money through the intraday lending facility and another mechanism that they have. They fined them 21 million rupees for failing to have the funds in place to settle. But then, when you buy, they were given the chance to buy these bonds, to pay for them. In short, the central bank lent money at 6%, and these guys, Perpetual, were lending it back to the central bank at nearly 13%. So you don't need to be too much of a businessman. You don't have to have too many overheads. You don't need 2,000 people working for you. And they've robbed the money of the people working in the EPF funds and so on.
For us, didn't the Bank of Ceylon also chip in to pay?
Absolutely.
The Bank of Ceylon. I was under the impression that they got the money through the Bank of Ceylon to settle the central bank.
Well, they got it through the central bank.
They got it through the central bank.
36 billion shortfall.
Okay.
And when you bid what they call off-market rates like this, sometimes the primary dealers do this. They give huge rates and unbelievable offers. Knowing that the central bank is not going to take it. It's called a dummy bid.
Okay.
But in this case, it was no dummy bid, it was a real live bid. And, you know, in my view, it was lovely that uncle was the governor of the central bank. none of us are fortunate about that because Mr. Manan only had the one daughter. There you go. But, ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow citizens, News First hasn't given up. We will never, ever give up. And starting today, actually started yesterday, we gave you a little teaser, but starting today, do catch us on the 7 o'clock news on Sirasa, 8 o'clock on Shakti, and 9 o'clock in English on TV1. We are bringing you Bond 2, starring the same set of roles. Machigurana, thank you.
Thank you, Faraz. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.